Hello everybody and welcome back to the Sideline podcast. We're in the athletic grounds here just after the Moherane Harps game, and I'm talking to Peter Nugent. We're going to reflect on the first 4 games of the Senior Championship, and Tommy Coleman will be on later and we'll reflect on the Sunday games. So Peter, we're just fresh off the Moherane Harps game, so we'll start with it. And probably sitting at half time, you were thinking it was just a real carbon copy of what happened last year?
Yeah, for the first half, Moherane out of the blocks really quickly. Playing good, snappy, incisive football going forward, and they were much the better team. Really good success rate on their kick-out shot, and that set the platform. Kieran Higgins in around the middle was having a big say. Eden was playing at that stage in the game. He was playing really just as an orthodox 6, but coming forward and contributing heavily. Got one great score early on. Brian Fox was committing the Harps every time he got the ball, and probably at one stage halfway through the first half he had a right legitimate claim for a penalty, which at that stage would have certainly put a fair bit of daylight between the teams. But it was a very organised Moherane performance in that first half. Defensively, so well set up, a really good layered defence, and they really cordoned off that scoring zone. And Harps, to be fair, looked a little lightweight up top in that first half, especially. They found it very hard to break tackles, and Moherane really had them held at arm's length, and they were full value at half time for that. I think it was a 4 or 5 point lead at half time.
I think it was 8-2, it was actually 6 points, the difference. I think that we touched on that in the preview show of the Harps. That was my one fear of the Harps. I think they're sound everywhere else, but to really, take out a big hitter like Moherane, they just don't have that forward that's going to kick you, 6 or 7 points a game.
Yeah, and I suppose you contrast that with what Moherane brought to the table in the first half in their attack. Kevin Robinson, I think he had 2 scores on the board inside the first 5 minutes, maybe even less time than that. And that got his confidence up and going. You could see him all night. He was calling for the ball, demanding for the ball, and he just got off the game on the right foot. Oisin Cushnan as well was very industrious, kicked a couple of nice scores over the course of the evening as well. Interestingly, Staven Forker actually played quite a withdrawn role, probably more industrious than anything else. Probably and Staffy, the two of them, probably just in the engine room more or less, but up front it was definitely 2 younger lads really carrying the fight. Aidan prompting them and as well Ben Creedy getting through a lot of work, but noticeably I think at times Moherane played Ben Creedy and Kieran Higgins basically in pockets around the middle where they felt that the Harps wanted their long kickers to go into, and you just don't kick the ball into those areas of them who are occupying those areas. So I thought it was a very tactically astute performance from Moherane, and being down close to the pitch you could hear their calls on the field and how the players actually talk to each other through the game, and it was very impressive.
I suppose in the second half then Aidan Forker, he had moved up into full forward, and we were just talking out when we seen him going in. It's incredible that Aidan Forker, he can start at 6, he's played full back for Armagh, he can go into midfield, centre half forward, full forward. Anywhere you play Aidan Forker, he's going to have an impact in the game. I think he scored 2 points maybe, and he had a goal chance as well that was saved and ended up with Kevin Robinson getting the goal. So he had such an impact when he did go full forward as well.
Well, with half time, Harps still need to make adjustments and changes of some description. I suppose we'll come on to that in a second, but Harps seem to go a lot more man-to-man style at the start of the second half, and they started to get the lead down bit by bit, but Moherane was still doing enough to keep a wee bit of comfort in the game. But I thought, interestingly, Moherane seen the opportunity with Harps pushing so high up the field. Moherane seen a good opportunity to move in and the ball forward, and knew that if they got over the Harps press once and got a ball into him, that could be the game deciding, or the game deciding score, and that's exactly how it turned out. And I think I can remember by memory on these 2 occasions in the second half he got in along that end line and really put the foot down and put distance between him and Sean Farry. And you say initial shot saved, got a rebounder in. I think it was Robinson got the final touch, and then he got his own fist at point as well. So a bit of a throwback to 2020 where he really cut loose in the county final, and you just have to give Moherane big credit because it was 2 fingers performance really to the majority of the county, and on that you'd say that they're in rude health.
Well, we took the Harps, so that's certainly 2 fingers plus. Not for the first time this year, but I suppose the Harps, if they're going to take anything from the game, it was their second half performance, and the likes of Joe McElroy coming in, driving it forward, Conor Lavery coming off the bench, kicking a couple of points, Jack Mackay coming in a wee bit more, but just basically the goal was the deciding factor. And as we talk about the first 4 games of the Senior Championship, the goals have been the deciding factor in all 4 games.
Yes, I suppose you're looking at it there and you're looking at how Harps finished the game. Definitely finished the game stronger than the start of it, and brought in Oisin Hughes, who had a big save from around the middle. They brought in Lavery, who kicked the score up front. Second half, James McCoy really came into the game for them. Started to be a really good outlet. Now he peels in behind Campbell, I think, early at the start of the second half. We had a ball over the top, and he's one-on-one with the keeper, but his hand lets him down. It's small margins like that in the game. If he gets his hands on that ball and he finds it at that stage, you have a totally different contest in your hands. So small margins. But I felt that the Harps bench, as we had talked about probably through the week, we knew that there was quality on it. Caroline knew as well. We knew that they would have quality younger players to come in, and probably maybe if they could do it again, they would have had some of them in maybe earlier, maybe even starting.
And Murray obviously through now to the last 8. How do you think they'll be coming away? They're obviously happy to get through on the first rounds, as we'll say probably a lot of times during this point. Those first rounds are for winning, but to be so far ahead at half time, to be comfortable. And then at the end, unless the Harps got a goal, obviously it was the only chance they were going to get back into the game. But to let the Harps back into the game and only be 3 points ahead, they're probably a bit annoyed at that.
Well, I mean, they certainly will know that the margin of victory has left them in a position where they've still got stuff to work on. However, it's a clean sheet. The game was very much played in their terms. Defensively, the first half they were excellent. So that's all the typical hallmarks of Murray at their best. And importantly, you wouldn't say they were missing anyone, right? You would say they were probably at full tilt. And to be fair to them, they probably shipped a lot of flack through the year for maybe what was happening in the league, and I know that they were blooding new players and keeping a few of the older players on ice, so to speak. So it looks at the minute like a very carefully concocted plan on their part, and they've really roared into the championship this evening. Really good game smarts in the second half. Still the game down, plenty of stoppages, kept breaking Harps momentum. Matthew Mackle, I thought, in the second half took 2 or 3 good contested kickouts when they just needed like a James Lavery type figure to pull a couple of balls out of the skates, and so that's pretty high praise for him. And of course, then the last come down stretch, Staffy gets on with the ball, Aidan gets on with the ball, and they're the key decision makers, and they see it out.
The first game on Saturday was Ballymacnabb and Cullyhanna. I know you were on TV for this, and as usual, Peter, I let you take over, but probably not as comfortable as you predicted on our preview show.
Yeah, first half was going pretty much the script from what we anticipated might happen off the back of the league performances. And Ballymacnabb looked decisive up front. I think they had a comment at one stage saying like the 4 main forwards had all made big contributions in the first half at one stage or another. So the 2 Rugans, Gavin and Cian Hughes had all stepped up. And to be fair, Ryan Waters was something that not well as well. And the goal was really well worked, and Chris Kerr's given them that option of coming very direct off the kick out, so he's getting 80-90 yards on the ball, and it's clear to see they're working on a flick-on routine to really stretch teams, stretch them early and open up those goal chances and those overload opportunities. So that was very apparent in some of their plays, especially the second half when Cullyhanna really went on the press. They got a couple of flick-ons and you're thinking, well, another day there's potential for more goal opportunities. So they know that they didn't take all their chances today. Like Hughes really botches up a very legitimate goal opportunity in the first half when he tries to make it too training groundish, where he's just looking for the simple palm across goal. But all in all, the first half on the body they were much the better side, and we sort of worried for Cullyhanna at that stage because up front they looked bereft of ideas, and the stats were showing that they were struggling badly in their own kickouts, and they were also getting shots off, but they were more in hope than expectation. However, you've got to give them massive credit because they addressed both those things at half time. Second half, they come out, go with Casey up front as a target man, and things change for them. Ian Nugent gets on some ball around the middle, good way the delivery's in, and Shea Boy comes out like a man transformed. He kicks some ways in the first half, doesn't add the term, comes out, kicks the first couple over, starts running at Ballymacnabb. Look, it's probably fair to say that it's two teams that their strength isn't really brilliant runs from deep. It's more move it forward quick. And Cullyhan started to do that and move it in off the boot. We'll ask different questions out of Ballymacnabb, and you would say that you're probably coming away on the basis of it with more questions than answers, just about them on that basis, because when it was really put to them in the second half, Cullyhan did get joy. So look, now be happy enough to get out here tonight with a win this first round, and even as Graham Moore found out last night, there's no gimmies, and there's so now they'll be pleased, but go out knowing there's enough to work on.
I think we said offer, we were chatting about Rory Gugan, the point he kicked from near the end line, I would assume, and the angle I had it was very much near the end line, and Jack kicked a couple of great points as well. I suppose when the game's not going your way, or when the team's putting it up to Ballymacnabb, when you have the likes of the two Gugans to kick a point from anywhere, really, it's a great asset.
Yeah, well, I mean, the difference in the first half was just the efficiency of the two teams. Like, possession was very even, but now we're just playing such purpose in the first half, and it was like Rory and then Jack, and then Rory, I think Jack maybe palms the ball down to Rory, he fires it in like just the best flight that you could imagine on a football over 60 yards, straight in Gavin McParlin's chest. It was that good and it was that well timed that the fullback had absolutely no chance of getting himself even close to McParlin to stop it, and he just fires it into the net. And to go long and hard to see a better goal in this championship, it was just that precise.
I think we were saying on the bench the ball didn't hit the ground.
No,
it
just went from A to B to C real quick, and that's the beauty of having good kickers in your team. And if Kieran was able to deliver it long, take the pressure off, and you've the boys that are capable of competing. We were making passing on Martin Cambry that Jack Rubin seemed to play a lot of his football in the first half, especially deeper in the field. And then you're tossing up the idea, well, is that going to hinder or be more of the detriment because he's so good at full forward? But there seems to be a nice wee understanding there that players will move in and move out of position. And there was also good utilisation of the mark as well. Kieran Hughes especially, we noticed that he was keen to take the mark on him, and his strength really is his accuracy. So if he's going to take marks and get himself 7-8 seconds to get settled on kicks in, then he can have a big challenge as well.
I suppose we'll move on to the earlier game on Saturday. It was Baden and Clevie in Crossmaglen, and the two teams really hampered with injuries. But I suppose Clevie would be delighted with this. They got a 4-point win. I know they were without a lot of key players. Kieran Holland obviously wasn't available. Oisin King's out for the year. Micheál McNamee as well. Lee Rice. So they're down a lot of key men, but they're through to the next round.
That for me was going to be a game that was more likely going to go the distance or go very close to going the distance. And Clevie will be absolutely thrilled this evening to be in the next round, because as you mentioned, the amount of players or key players in their eyes that were missing, unavailable to play, or to play a prominent part, it'll do their confidence a world of good. You've got to dip into your bench, you've got to understand that you have people that can come in and carry the roles out effectively, and that's what's going to stand them going through the championship. For Madden, disappointing, I would say, for them, and in the second half they managed to get themselves in front, and then Clevie obviously come back with a goal, and I think that was the key score that maybe broke the Madden resistance. Joe Sheridan seemed to have a big say in the game, but again, probably we looked at Madden against Grange, and they'd done enough on the day, and they were by far the better side, but still it was a hurry enough end of the game for them. So maybe there was a few alarm bells ringing there on the back of that performance. And
I suppose Clevie, when they're missing so many key men, can they target a big? Because it's not, as far as I'm aware, it's not a couple of wee niggly injuries. This is he said he's in injuries that these boys have picked up. So like, how far can they go in this championship? It's going to be difficult when you're missing so many key men.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be draw dependent. I think, all things being equal, they'll want to avoid crossing lanes and Flannerns. If they can get another draw against maybe another sort of mid-stand Division 1 team, they'll obviously fancy their chances because they've been building, and Clevie have a lot of resources at their disposal, and probably them missing 4 or 5 starting players mightn't be the hindering factor that might be for other teams. Yeah. They've built good resources, good structures, and plenty of numbers coming through. So look, they'll be happy, they'll get themselves recovered, and they'll be working hard off the field to get people ready as well to make sure that they're in a good spot for the quarter final. But even if it doesn't materialise for them this year, they still will get extra championship games into younger players, and that can only be good for them going forward.
And way more then you spoke with them, they played on Friday night, and again, like the other 3 games we've discussed, the goal was the difference. This came before half time. Ryan Rowdy, as he usually does when he's in close range, he fires it to the net. But I suppose the O's will come away thinking like we didn't give them a chance, and we'll have to admit that. Like in our preview show, we didn't give them much of a chance. But just before the Graham goal, they had a chance, and it was saved and come out. I think it was maybe Rory Duffy that kicked it over the bar, and Graham come down the field and they take the goal. So and that's the deciding score in the game.
Aye, it's just you've seen it all weekend. You've seen it even out there this evening. It's these big momentum moments in games, and when teams can capitalise in their periods of possession and when they have their moments in games, that's effectively what gets them into the next round. And at senior championship level, Sean, you're probably only going to get 2-3 really good goal chances in a game, and probably last night for Pearso, for them to come out in the right side of the result, they're probably looking to hit 2 goals and then keep it tight at the back. And to be fair, look, I mean, it seems as if they put in a much more spirited performance, an organised performance than maybe they had done at times in Division 1B. Alas, it wasn't enough on the night. And Graham Moore will be relieved, probably. I'd say more maybe is the emotion, because they were roundly tipped, and there weren't much of a price or anything like that last night, so it probably brought some pressure on them. A derby, a lot of sort of intermingling between the 2 squads, and I'm sure a lot of people socialising and going to school and stuff together, so a lot of friendships on the line, and they'll just be glad. And I think Graham Moore probably, on the balance of things, in the quarter final will probably be an underdog, and to be fair, it probably suits them a whole lot better.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. It probably does suit Graham Moore, like when they come to athletic grounds here, and we've played them a couple of times in the semi-finals, and even the first round last year, they're underdogs, but like you get nothing easy against them. Like they're going to be a watch for anybody.
Graham Moore, seriously dogged outfit, and they've a lot of good experience built up playing in 1A, and there'll be nobody's pushover in the quarter final, that's for sure. Still slight concern would be that it's very much the old dogs to the hard road still for them, and if you look at just where their contributions were coming from last night, it was still like Sir Ryan Rafferty and Jason O'Neill, and I suppose you just be hoping that there might be more fresh blood making bigger contributions up front. I think structurally they're sound, compete well around the middle, defensively look quite secure, but you're just always thinking, have they got that bit extra up front to really push the likes of your Barr McNabbs and Monterey's and Crosses, and that's where I still think they're maybe just a wee bit shy.
We'll find out in the quarter final. That's the 4 games from Friday and Saturday. Peter, great to get your thoughts on them games. I will be back now with Tommy Coleman, and we'll hear his thoughts on the rest of the 4 games that all took place on Sunday. So I'm delighted to be joined now by Tommy Coleman, and we're going to go through all Sunday's games. Tommy, I really appreciate you doing this. I'm sure it's not easy for you after what we're after witnessing. We're in the athletic grounds here. Again, we're after witnessing Mullabon knockout the reigning Armagh champions Clonard. And we'll start with that, Tommy, and we'll move from that game backwards to their earlier games. But I suppose give us your thoughts after the game on reflection at the half-time whistle. 1 point the difference, but probably a deserved win for Mullabon.
Yeah, when you look back on the whole line of it, extremely disappointed. We really are. knowing a championship run brings and the life that it brings you into your club. And from last year, to go out in the first round it was a bad blow, but we got to hand it one upon. They were hungrier, they showed more determination, especially in the first half. They brought the game to Clonard. I felt it was set back far too much of them. We were very slow on the build-up the game. We didn't play to our strengths. We didn't move the ball quick. We didn't break off the shoulder, break that line. The fast rolling game that we can adapt on the fast ball in. And there were, it took us 25 minutes to score in the first half. We just can't do that in championship football. And a lot of the boys, the flag has nothing to do with the management team here whatsoever. When you go out, and I touched on this last week, a couple of games that I've seen, when you don't match the appetite, the hunger and the aggression of the other team, these are the things that can happen to you. And Clonard fell into that trap. We just did not perform in the first half at all. And we went in at 6-2 down, but when you really look at it, Kieran Grant had broke through, and he 1-on-1. Really, he could have slotted home himself. He looked over to his left, and Eddie English made a great run, and he kept the ball just that we got too far. Eddie pushed away. We got up the field, and instead of being 9-1 down at half time, Connor got a good score for us. Brought us a 6-2 and said, this is something that I can build on this challenge. We're only four, for as bad and all that we played, we were only 4 behind. And I says, we can drive on here now, and we're playing, with all the elements, we're playing down the hill, which has been a feature in the games I've seen. The team we playing down the hill has been a better team all weekend. And we had that, and the wind was picking up, the rain, and said, when we get back, and then we pulled, eventually we got the game back within the sights, but that happened 1-1. It was so dogged, it was so determined. They knew they were so close. This could be our day here, and they sensed it. You sensed it within the crowd that we just weren't firing on all cylinders, and we had some great performances within that Mullabone team. You've Eddie there again. So Eddie got 3-4 points. Kieran Grant sitting in the pocket, spreading passes left, right, and centre. Cormac Smith stood up when he had to do, caught some great ball, drove them on. Declan Love, they had 2 great runs near the end, which was crucial. But I thought the two wing halves, in particular, the half back line of O'Brien, McFerry and Connorlow, I thought they were excellent all three. They were prepared to break the line at pace, and they were able to open us up a bit. And we got exposed through the centre a bit. I suppose we were sort of pulled out a bit and left that middle bit open, and they were able to get through and got the scores. And just on their sheer determination and their whole attitude to the game, they deserved to win. And best of luck to them. Hats off to Peter and the boys.
And Tommy, Clonard, we've seen it even at county level, the likes of Tyrone, like in 2021, they win All Ireland, and the next year it just doesn't happen. Maybe that wee bit of hunger, it's only maybe 1% that we're talking, but just that wee bit of hunger, and maybe Clonard next year will come back better for having lost today, and having lost that, the hurt of that. Maybe it'll drive them on next year, but obviously that's what we'll do in the day.
No, it's not good today, and them words, there's always next year, and not mean a whole lot, but you have a winter to get yourself sorted out. But these boys, I have to remember, we're going through a week before Christmas last year, and then we're back into pre-season a couple of weeks after Christmas, and we've got no real break at all. And maybe out there just go through that energy and that bite and that their hunger for them that's required. We were hoping, if you get over the first one, everything would sort of come back and roll back into you, and you can build on that there. But it just wasn't to be. And you're right, it's happened. And Molly's a team before who had won the championship and haven't come back. You look at the Harps, haven't won even the championship match from the one.
Haven't got past the quarter-final stage.
Haven't got past the quarter-final stage. You look at Mahari, took them 3-4 years before they got the title back again. So it's a very difficult thing to do, and that's why when you look at the bigger scheme of things, you have to admire Crossland again. Every year they're set up there, even if they're not playing that well, they're going in as odds-on favourites, and they continually churn it out and they're always still the team to beat. And we can only what way they performed today, but for the retain that their hunger, it takes it to be a real special place, a special good headspace, and unfortunately I don't think we were in that today.
And just we will get to Crossmaglen obviously, but I just want to touch on Mullabone one more time. That you probably felt it last year, Tommy. To win the championship, you had to beat Mahare, the reigning champions, and you had to beat Ballynabb, who won the previous finals in 18 and 19. 2 massive victories for you. I'm sure that done your confidence the world good. What will that win do for Mullabone heading into the quarter-final?
I'm going to bring them all leaps and bounds. The comparisons, the only difference last year, we made our first round match before we met the champions.
Yeah.
And, we went in against Marty, and, it was a massive win for us. It gave us a lift. The belief that it gave within the squad of players. After that game, we were able to build on that momentum. Going in, you're playing the third best team, in my opinion, within the county in the last 10 years in the NAB. And, again, it was a tough match and a fight and brought it in. So it was just all about building that momentum up. Mullabone, sexy, and they came in, as we did last year, they got through towards the end with a promotion into 1A. They had that there going behind them, so they had that there confidence going into the game. And as you said, they were playing the county champions, who were in a probably position where they had everything to play for and absolutely nothing to lose. And they went out at it today, they had their plan and they went at it. They rolled the dice, they didn't sit back. You've seen teams before going out and holding back, they didn't. They had their structure, they sat back a bit alright, but they always had somebody up the field, and when they went, broke with purpose, and full value for the win, full value.
And Tommy, before, obviously it was a double header in the Athletic Grounds today, Crossmaglen and Silverbridge. Probably tighter than definitely that I expected, and I was really impressed with Silverbridge today. But as you said, Crossmaglen, they keep coming. And after the second goal for Silverbridge, Park Keaton got a goal with 15 minutes left. It put them 5 in front, and the time final whistle goes cross for 5 for a 10-point turnaround in 15 or 20 minutes is incredible.
And as I said, the belief that these boys have in their own ability and the belief in themselves, it's a credit to them all. They never quit. They just, it doesn't matter what level of championship Crossmaglen seem to play at, they just seem to bring that extra year whenever they need to do it. Whether it be senior, reserve junior championship or minor championship, whatever, they are always there and they're able to step it up. I've seen it a couple of times this week already, what to do. For me, one of the big turning points after Silverbridge got the goal was the Black Jordan of Finian Burns. I know I've said before to my own squad of players when we're playing in the championship, that how important discipline is. We've seen instances there today where if I was getting, it was 55, 60 yards out, and the ball was just lifted, brought in, inside, bang, over the bar, and it just come from ill discipline. It wasn't going to be a score, and that was in the Clanmurray game. Rest about 52 metres out. Kevin lifted the ball, brought it in, Shell stuck it over the bar when they needed that for a score. And the wee bits and pieces like that, and it's like, I don't want to be too hard on Finian, but it was absolutely, from where we were, very innocuous, didn't seem to be going anywhere, pulled his leg back, Black Jordan, Silverbridge under the cash, and forced to fall back. Rain comes out round the middle sector, and away across goal, and it just continually went at them and went at them and went at them and just grinded them down. But the last goal was
sublime.
It was sublime.
Yeah.
And if you see a better goal in the championship this year, I don't know. I thought the NAB scored yesterday were really supposed to, it was going to be the goal of the weekend. They really picked that pass out to Gavin. But this, where Rain had picked up that ball, he moved across. I was actually in line. Kane McCampbell made the run to the far side and played that diagonal ball into Rain. Kane picked it up, torn, and passed inside. Was Finnegan, was it? Who was it?
Stringer Finnegan,
Finnegan made a great run. He come back inside. He played it to the blind side of the defender, picked it up, and what a goal!
Yeah.
And, it was quality. It was probably the best football that I've seen today. It was superb, and that's what Cross have in the locker. And Silverbridge done a brilliant job.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see as the championship progresses where Cross will be and how far they go. But to me, they're probably still all the team to beat because you find every year they start off slow, and once they get into that championship mode, the momentum builds and builds, and like when you have the quality players of Rain and Kane, boys like that, you can never write these boys off, And in fairness, Silverbridge had a lot of good performances out there from Silverbridge, Jordy O, really in the second half I thought Jordy O was tremendous. But on the flip side of that, I also thought Stephen Morris was outstanding for Cross. I think it was his best game with Cross in probably a couple of seasons. I know he was struggling with injury and stuff. He's come back really strong again. And Stephen Morris, holding like that in the middle of the field, is a real big asset for Cross McLean. And overall, you have to say, the last to do what they've done, 15, as you said, they were 5 down, 15 to go, and they end up with 10 points swing. There's not too many teams who would do that. So, fully deserved, but again, Silverbridge, they look back, they'll rue that their black yard. They'll rue that black, because at that there, they were really going well. And who's to know what would have happened if he won the black yard. So,
I suppose we're just talking about the goal and Kane McConville. I think Peter Nugent said on our previous show he's probably been the best forward in club football for the last maybe 2 or 3 years. And he's showing up today. He's unbelievable, isn't he, Tommy? The pass, I think he got 4 or 5 points as well. He's very hard to mark.
It's very hard to mark. I actually like to see him inside more. I think he's been, the way probably they're situated today, with players' availability. Then they might have to bring him out to the half-forward line, but I think he's far more dangerous. Me personally, I think he's far more dangerous inside, and he gets that ball inside. There's only going to one spot, but he showed that class today. That pass from the 2 cousins was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It's the best football I've seen all weekend, and I've been at most of the matches for a couple. I've been at them all, and it was joy to watch.
And do you think did Silverbridge expose any weaknesses for Cross McLean for that team to look for going forward? Obviously, we'll talk about the quarterfinals in a couple of weeks' time. But what did you feel Silverbridge showed, or was it just sheer desire and belief from Silverbridge that made the game so close for long periods?
No, well, I think there was a part of that there that you could see there was more belief in Silverbridge this year than the past meetings, and they were going for it, and they said, right, we're going to have a real crack at this today, and they did. And I thought when they played the ball in early, and especially they had that diagonal ball, they played it in across, pick Rain in particular, and young rats, when that ball was, were able to pick up, and I still think they haven't been. Cross is still suspect somewhere in around that full back line, and I think if teams can attack that area, that's where they're at the weakest. But having said that, there in the end of it, Big Farley stood up, in the second half, we had some good interceptions, and then Rain had dropped back, supposed to pick it up and to help them out. But to me, still a couple of vulnerable in the full back line. But if that ball was played in early, they couldn't seem to get any hold on the ball at all, and was played in. 40-50 yards out, sipped along, and a diagonal. And it's obviously, I suppose it's hard ball for anybody to defend, but Cross seemed to have difficulties with that, and Silverbridge got a lot of joy out of that today.
We'll see how that develops in a couple of weeks' time. Clonagale and Carrickcruppen then, Tommy, that was the 2:30 throw-in on Sunday. A lot tighter. Probably we did predict it in our preview show that it was going to be a lot tighter than the league form suggested. Carrickcruppen got an early goal that kept them in the game, but Clonagale, we expected them to come through. It was only 2 points, to be fair, but we expected them to come through, and they are through the quarterfinals now.
Yeah, it was one of the games that didn't get to, but we did expect, Clans to edge it, I was talking to a couple of Clans boys during the week, and I said, I think he's will win, but it's going to be a lot closer in that league match, there's no doubt about that. Carrickcruppen came up from last year, won that intermediate championship, no one what a championship's about, and obviously they won that today, but it's hard to say well done. Clans play the vast majority of that game with 14 men. They had young Michael McConville sent off for a straight red after about 10 minutes, so 15 minutes that game with 14, and we're still able to manage to win it. probably a bit of an experience from the lads, one of the younger lads in the team, and it's, you know, I think when we talked about the Clans before and where they are, I think the Clans are on the right road, but this is it's part of the learning process for them, you know, and discipline is another big thing in this game, you know, and again, one of the better teams that are, you know, if you're down to 14 men, you're not going to win the match. You know, and I don't mean when I'm saying better, I don't mean any disrespect to Carrickgruppen and that whatsoever, but if you're playing the top teams or you know, any of the teams who've been around there for a while, you know, it's not going to happen for them.
And then the first game on Sunday was Dromondee and Sarsfields, and Tommy, we can talk about the weather for all the games because obviously it was the same, but brutal weather in Peartrone Park.
Yeah.
And the goals, there was one goal was legitimate, the rest were all, I suppose Callum McKenna, he filled his 2 goals. The first one, a long high ball into Callum McKenna edge of the square, he won it brilliantly well, got it on his boot and kicked it into the net. The next one, Conor Martin sent one in for, he can't claim a goal with this one, he was shooting for a point, drop shot and ended up in the net. Exact same happened with Sarsfields, but Sarsfields' goal, they were 6 points down, Fitton Kelly took a long ball, kicked a long ball in, bounced in front of the keeper, skidded and ended up in the net. So suddenly it was 3 points, 3 point game, anything could happen. Dromondee come down the field, got a goal and it was game over then. So I suppose Dromondee will feel that they earned the right to be in the next round of the championship, and 3 goals. When you score 3 goals in a championship game, you deserve to be in the next round.
Well, I think that's been one of the features of all the games. The teams who scored the goals this and by and large are the teams who went through, you know. And I can go right back to Friday night. It was at the MK, you know, the Pearse Road match where Pearse Road could have scored a goal and missed it. Graham Moore went up, scored a goal, and that proved to be the decisive score. And that happened yesterday at the Killeavy game, and it happened again today as well with the our own game.
Yeah.
Plus the Dromondee game, and it's a feature that always happens when in championship football, whoever gets the big scores at the right time seem to come through, and it's just Sarsfields. I felt, I haven't seen them against the Clans. I always felt that Dromondee had enough. I watched Dromondee and had all their players back, okay, and these boys had all come back to that during the game. They had the beaters by 11 points, which they did.
Yeah.
On the night, and they could do what they had to do to try and save themselves. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for them, and the results the other way. With Graham Moore getting the win, you know. So, and I thought, watching both teams, I thought Dromondee would have that wee bit too much for them now, you know. And that came through. They're into the draw. They've got the cross, and but something that they'll have to look forward to. You know, you've 2 weeks now, and it's a great 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's great. When you go back in after getting your first round over here, you go back in and you're looking forward to the next one. And you go, right, this is one we're going to have a crack at this, and we're going to have a go at it. And you know, you sit down and you plot, and you'll get your matchups of who you score by where and who's going to do what. And it'll be intriguing. And for Dromondee, you know, I suppose to get into the quarter final after being relegated, you know, it's a good lift for them, and they'll, you know, they're going into that match with everything to gain and nothing to lose.
So really good quarter final of the championship draw. Dromondee take on Crossmaglen, Cleavey against Clonmagale, Ballymacnabb against Mahara, and Graham Moore on Mullabon. So 4 really exciting games to look forward to, and of course we'll be bringing you those previews of that in a couple of weeks' time. The semi-final of the junior championship draw as well. It's Dionysius and Middletown, the 2 big hitters, and they meet, and the Summer and Portmore meeting the others, the semi-final. So everybody, thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back next week with our intermediate preview show, and of course we'll be bringing you all the action with previews, match reports, and our top scorers and different articles coming out during the week. So Tommy, thanks very much for joining us, and Peter earlier, thanks very much for giving us your thoughts on all the games.
No problem, Sean. Thank you.